Flarum is a PHP-based forum software. It has a very nice modern look to it. It's also very mobile optimized, so it works great on all types of mobile devices. And today I want to show you how you can install Flarum on a shared hosting provider. So normally when you go to install Flarum, you need to have direct access to the server you are installing on. So you need SSH access, and then you need to be able to run commands on that server. Now for shared hosting providers, that is normally not the case. They either don't give you full access, or if they do, then you are very limited because of the limited resources you have on shared hosting providers. You don't have enough CPU and enough RAM generally to run the commands that you need to run to install Flarum. So Flarum relies on a piece of software called Composer to install it on your server. So I'm going to show you a way around that requirement basically. What we're going to do is we're going to install Flarum on our local PC, and then we're going to take that installation and simply copy it over into your shared hosting provider. So that way you run all that installation software on your local machine and you just copy the files into your server. So you don't need direct access to SSH or anything like that. Okay, so let's get going. So the first thing you need to do is install a PHP development environment on your machine. Now I'm using Windows. This is possible on pretty much any operating system, but so on Windows I highly recommend you use XAMPP, which will include everything you need. So you want XAMPP with PHP 7.1 because that's at the moment right now that's the best version of PHP to use for Flarum. So you want to go here. All these URLs are in the video description if you need them. You need to go to here, click here for other versions, download the 7.1 PHP version. Download that one and let it download on your machine. So the other piece of software you need is called Composer. Composer is a dependency manager for PHP, which we'll use to download Flarum into our machine and download all of its dependencies. So you want to go to download here. You want to find, I'm on Windows, so I want the Windows installer here, Composer setup, and let that download on your machine. So after you've downloaded both the programs, you just need to install both of them. You install XAMPP first and then install Composer. After you've installed the software, you want to head on over to the C drive and to your XAMPP directory where you have installed XAMPP. Open that up, go to the htdocs folder, and then create a folder for your forum. So I'm just going to call it Flarum because I'm not very creative. And so you want to run Composer in this folder. So what you're going to do, the easiest way to do that, just go up here, type cmd, enter, and the command prompt will open up. And now you're ready to install the Flarum software. So Flarum has some pretty great documentation. You can look it up, look at all the requirements. And the command you need to, the Composer command you need to install Flarum is this one right here. I'm just going to copy this, go to my command prompt, right click, and paste in there, hit enter. This will take a while, just let it download everything. So you can see our installation is done. Now if you want to install any Flarum extensions, this is also the time you should do that. One extension I'm going to install here is called Upload, and this allows the user to upload pictures and other files when it's posting to the forum. And now to install an add-on, just the same as installing Flarum itself. You just need to copy the Composer command and run it in your Flarum folder. Let it install. So now our Upload add-on is installed. Another add-on you might want to consider installing is called Bazaar, and Bazaar is supposed to allow you to install add-ons from within Flarum. So after you install Bazaar, you no longer need to run the commands, the composer commands, in order to install other add-ons. But Bazaar might not work in a shared hosting environment because it requires quite a bit of memory itself, and it also runs some PHP commands which might not be supported on your shared hosting environment. But you can try it, right? So install it and then you'll see if it works or not on your host. Just copy that, install. So Bazaar is also installed successfully on our local machine. So now we're going to launch XAMPP. Start Apache and MySQL. So you want to launch PHP admin so we can create our database. So go to MySQL here, click on admin. This will launch your local PHP admin. In here we can create our database. Just go to new here. Give your database a name. So I'm just going to call it Mbwasi _ Flarum DB. Now the Mbwasi underscore is because my domain name is mbwasi.com and my web hosting provider forces every database to start with the domain name. This might not be a requirement on your side. Just check with your hosting provider. Okay, so that's the name. I'm gonna create it. You don't need to create any tables. You need to add a user to the database. So I'm gonna go here to privileges. I'm gonna create a user for the database. I'm gonna click add user account. Flarum DB user. Right here I'm gonna put localhost for the host name, and I'm going to generate a password here. Make sure you keep a copy of this password because you're gonna need it. Just gonna paste it here. That's it. Now you wanna grant the user permissions. Just check all here. Click go. Everything has been completed successfully here. A user has been added to the database. Now, so since we put our Flarum in the Flarum folder under htdocs, we need to go to localhost /Flarum because that's what we named our folder. Hit enter. You should get the installation dialog. Give your forum a name. MySQL host is localhost. MySQL database is the database you just created. The username is the user you just created. And the password is the password you just used. Table prefix, you can enter pretty much anything. Now you need to create an admin user for your forum. Just gonna call John at a domain and give him a password. Good. Everything is filled out. Hit install Flarum. If everything was correct, your forum gets created. So now you have your full working forum on your local machine, right? You can go here to the administrator page, check that everything is working. The first time you load any page, it might take a while, but from the second time onward, it's gonna be fast. Wanna check out our extensions. So this is the Bazaar extension we installed, and this is the upload extension we installed. You can see they're both here. Okay, so we can go back to the forum. Let's try posting something. Try to post general, okay. Because we added the upload extension, we get this attachment thing. We can upload a picture or anything to our post. Post discussion. You can see everything seems to be working beautifully. You can like your posts, like your own posts. You can follow them. Great. So everything is working good on our local. What we need to do is take this local installation and move it into our hosting server. So the first thing we need to do is move the files from our local machine into our server. How we're going to do that? If you have FTP access to your server and you know how to use FTP, you can simply move all these files into your public folder on your server. If you don't have FTP, another easy way to do it is to simply select all these files and zip them. gonna send to compressed zip folder. And the reason we're zipping them because there are thousands of files here, so otherwise we would have to upload one at a time. So this is much better, as you can see. I'm just gonna name this Flarum. Doesn't matter what you call it, just gonna call it Flarum. Okay, so head on over to your web host and log into your CPanel or any other control panel you might have. It doesn't actually need to be CPanel, but CPanel is a pretty popular one. So you want to go to File Manager. So you want to find your public HTML directory. For me, it's called public HTML. This might be called slightly different depending on your provider, but it's gonna be public or web directory or maybe www, something like that. So this is my public HTML directory. Now I have some files here. This is because I was doing other things with my website. You might not have any of these. You might have an index file in here. If you have an index file, just delete it first, because that index is your home page. We're going to replace that with the forum. So we want to upload our zip file. Find the Flarum zip we created, open it, let it upload. So you can see the upload is done. We can go back to our file manager here and hit reload. If you don't see the file appear right away, don't worry about it. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for the file to actually show up in the file manager. So just give it a minute. Gonna hit reload again here, and you can see the file is there. So it just takes a minute or two sometimes to appear. So we want to extract this zip file. Just right click and choose extract. Now depending on the file manager on your hosting provider, this procedure might be slightly different, but it's the same principle. Just extract all of the files into your public directory. Extract files. So you can look through the log here. Everything seems to be going fine. Close it. All our files are there. One thing you might want to do here is hit settings and make sure show hidden files is enabled, the dot files. Okay, so mine is enabled, that's fine. Otherwise you won't be able to see these dot files, which are hidden files in Linux. Okay, so that's that. One thing you need to do is set the correct PHP version of your hosting service. So in CPanel, it's normally in the multi-PHP manager. So for Flarum, you want to set it to 7.1, PHP 7.1. So you can see here it's PHP 7. I'm going to select the domain here and switch it to 7.1 and apply. That's successful. That's great. So we can try and go to our website and see what happens. This won't work, but let's just try it anyway. Go to our website. You can see there's an error. So we need to change a few things. First, back to our file manager. You need to find the config.php file. Right click that, edit it. Click edit again if you get this thing. You need to change some configuration options for Flarum. So first of all, you can see the URL here. This is where your Flarum is installed. So mine is installed right in the root of my domain. If you had installed it in another folder, example /forum, then you would need to put that URL in. But mine is right in the root of my domain. Check all the other settings if they are correct. You can see you have the database name here, the username, the password, and the localhost database location. So everything looks good to me. Save changes, let that save. Saved, good. Now let's try reloading this, and it still won't work, but let's just try it anyway. It's spinning and spinning and nothing happening. This is because we still don't have the database on our server, right? We haven't created the database. So go back to CPanel. You need to create the database. So in CPanel there's a database wizard. You can use MySQL database wizard. Click that one. We're going to create a database for. So we're going to create a database. Remember, as I told you, my host forces me to have the domain name as the first part of the database name. So we're just going to finish it off. FlarumDB, next step, need to create the user now. Now it turns out that my host also forces the user to have the domain name, which we didn't do when we created our local user, but it doesn't matter. We're going to change the config. Just going to show you how. Flarum user, that's fine, and the password is the same password we used the first time when we created our local database. Okay, so user has been successfully created. Now our user is Mbwasi Flarum user. Just copy that one there. We want to give him all privileges. And next step. So when we're done, everything has been done successfully. Now since this is not the user we created the first time on our local database, we need to update our config file again. Just open the config file. If you don't have it open, for example, just edit this again, because this is where all the configurations is held. So the user, we need to change him to Mbwasi underscore Flarum user, right? So not a big deal. Save that, should be good to go. Now we have our database, we have all our files. So we need to go back to our local MySQL PHP MyAdmin. What we need to do is export the database from our local machine and import it into the hosting database. Go to the database on your local machine. This is a local host, right? You can see these are all the tables that were created when we installed Flarum. You will note that some of them actually have data in them. You can see there are rows in them. So what we need to do is export the database. Export, leave everything as is, hit go. It will create a file for us. Save that file. So all this file contains is the SQL statement that will create all our tables and all of the data that we have on our local machine in the hosting database, right? You can take a look at it. It's just a text file with a bunch of SQL statements. So back to our online CPanel. Go into PHP MyAdmin. So this is the online PHP MyAdmin. This is not your local one. This is the one on your hosting provider. So you want to go into the database, FlarumDB, which we created earlier, right? Through the wizard. Just select that, let it load. You'll see there are no tables right now. The database is empty. We need to import. Hit import over here. And then you want to browse for your file we just created and upload it there. Mbwasi, FlarumDB, open it and hit go. What is happening now is that all those SQL statements we saw are being executed, so the tables are being created and then the data is being inserted into those tables. So we're going to have an exact copy of our local database on the server now. So everything was successfully executed. 86 queries, great. Go to our database again. You can now see it has a bunch of tables in it. You can see all the tables are here and all the data as well is here. So great. So now we should be able to run our forum. Go to your domain again, refresh, and you see the forum loads up, and you see that, remember that test post we had, the missiles are still coming. So everything got moved to our online forum. So everything should work now. You can log in. You can see I'm logged in as John, the administrator. You can unlike this. Now go to your administration here. The last thing you really need to do is set up email. Go to email here. You need to insert the SMTP server credentials for your hosting provider. So back to CPanel, find where you can create an email account. So create an account. I'm gonna call it do not reply, because I don't want people to reply to this email, right? This is gonna send the automatic emails from the forum. Give it a password. Give it a limit if you want, or maybe put it unlimited. Uncheck that. Create account. Your account has been created. So you want to go down here, find your email, and go to Setup Mail Client. Scroll down a bit, you'll see the settings you need to set up your SMTP details. So this is the host right here. This is the username and also the email, and this is the port. And this TLS right here is a security type. We'll see it over here. So just enter everything as it was. Encryption is TLS, like I said. Username. Address is also the same as username. The password is the password you entered when creating the email account. Right? So that looks correct to me. Save changes. And now we have added emails, the ability to send emails to your forum. Now, if you have more than a few users, this probably isn't the best option. You want to find a email sending service such as Mailgun or Mandrid. These guys are expert at sending a lot of emails without getting you banned and your emails not ending up in the spam folder of your users. So I'm going to test the email. I'm going to log out as John. I'm going to try and sign up as another user. I'm going to go sign up. John Doe. My email is that one right here. My password is password1. Very secure. Sign up. So you see we've sent this email to this and this. The email should have been sent. Now let's check my inbox here. Give it a second. So our email has arrived. You can see from do not reply at mbwasi.com. We need to follow this link right here in order to confirm our sign up, right? Open this in new tab to go to our site and automatically log me in. So now I'm logged in as John Doe. John Doe is a regular user, not an administrator. You can't see anything. So we can try and view the post. So I'm logged in as John Doe, right? I can see John's post. I can try and write a reply here. Post reply. Everything works great. I can like this. I can follow this. Get the latest on the missile strike on Hawaii. Right, so that's great. That's it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you are into any sort of technical stuff. And thank you.